Right, Wednesday night. It is the biggest game in all of our lives, until possibly next Sunday. England play, let's not get ahead of ourselves, mind. England play Croatia in the World Cup semi-final. And of all the teams that you could have said England might possibly play, in the unlikely event they got to a semi-final before the tournament started, if you said it would be Croatia, we probably would have taken that, wouldn't we? But that being said, they are far from a walk in the park. Very dangerous team. Tom, what do you think are the main threats to England from Croatia?
I think I'm worried a bit about their midfield possibly overloading us. I mean, they've got the likes of Modric and Rakitic who could just basically pass it around Henderson if he's less isolated. So maybe it could be a case of bringing someone like a Ruben Loftus-Cheek in just to give us a bit of extra manpower, I guess, in there. I wouldn't put Dyer in there. I think Dyer's been quite poor even in the short minutes that he's had.
You had a chance to say Dyer there and you didn't. You could have said he was Dyer.
Yeah, too cliche, Dave. Yeah. I'm not trying to be that show.
Just.
And they've also got an amazing forward line. Like I remember last season when Mourinho was constantly linked to like that Perisic guys replacing Martial. I've never watched him, but at this World Cup he's been so impressive. So they have a lot of attacking going forward, but I think their defence, Lovren's actually been playing quite well as well. So I'm trying to find a weak point now in Croatia, and that's probably their left back.
Dan, they have 8 different players who've scored for them. Croatia already in the World Cup, second only to Belgium, we have 9. So they can score on you in a lot of different ways, Croatia.
They don't have Harry Kane though.
They don't. And is that the problem? Is it that they lack, for all of their talent across the field, I mean, arguably Modric is something of a star player, and Rakitic, but they don't quite have anyone with that sort of star power, that superstar ability that maybe a Harry Kane has?
And I'd probably disagree with that slightly. I think they have 2 clear world-class players in Rakitic and Modric, arguably more world-class than Kane. For their positions, I think they're better in their positions than Kane is as a forward. Outside of that...
that's the Arsenal fan coming through. But.
No, it's just that I think they're both 28, 29 and at the peaks of their careers. Ask me in 5 years' time, and I think Kane will end up being a better forward than they are midfielders.
Modric is actually like 32, 33 now, I think, or something like that.
Well, either way, he's just won 3 Champions Leagues in a row, so he's at the peak of his powers, I would argue. But I actually think that we've probably got a better team than them. I think they've got a lot of good players littered around, but they're not a great team. They remind me a lot of, say, Arsenal in that regard.
Do they?
Yeah.
I'm sure they
do.
Not
great players.
Actually, interestingly though, one of the things we talked about on the last episode was whether England, having beaten Colombia, whether in the manner they beat Colombia through the penalty shootout, whether that would give England psychologically a boost rather than if it had been an uneventful 1-0 win. Well, Croatia have won 2 penalty shootouts now in both of the knockout stages to get through. So does that suggest that they can't finish a game off, or does that mean they're going to have a double psychological boost?
I think the penalties for us is so important because we'd gone 6 penalty shootouts or 7 without winning, whereas Croatia, I don't think they have that monkey on their back or that sort of thing. So there were 2 games that they were heavily expected to win versus Denmark and Russia. Although Russia are playing at home, that makes it more difficult, but still they have enough quality to be able to palm them off. So it is. I think it is worrying for them that they're not able to kill off these smaller teams.
I'd agree with that. I think so. You saw the chance yesterday in the game that they had yesterday, where the guy hit the post and then it squirmed out, and it really should have gone in. And if they'd have done that, they'd have gone on to just win it comfortably. They'd have won 3-1. I think they probably wouldn't have conceded the second. I think it's more worrying for them that they've gone to the penalties because they've played teams arguably lesser than them. Colombia, if Colombia had come at England like they did in the first half of the extra time, if Colombia had done that for the whole game, I think we'd have lost. I think they'd have beaten us 2 or 3-0 quite comfortably. And they turned up to defend. But when they actually came at us, they had so much more technique and were able to play it around us so much easier.
I think you're underselling us.
I genuinely think they'd have.
They had a lack
so I think that last minute penalty win for us, I suppose it's always last minute with penalties, but for us, coming together like that, and it really amalgamated the squad, as you alluded to earlier, with Harry Kane calling them all brothers now. I think our togetherness is so much more, it's so much better than theirs. And for as good as Lovren's been for the World Cup, he is still Dejan Lovren.
Would either of you have preferred to play Russia?
Absolutely, I'd love to play Russia.
I don't think I would.
In a fair fight, I would love to have played Russia.
I'm talking about in the circumstance. I'm not getting into that. But in the circumstances, because we would be essentially in enemy territory, right, for
Yeah,
5 days, and I know they're not as good of a team as Croatia, but
They seem to run really
as
far,
a
though.
4-day experience and everything you'd have to put up with, right? I'm ignoring you. I think it would have been a very different challenge, but possibly a tougher challenge in some ways.
I agree to an extent, in terms of the psychological side.
Yeah.
This England team do better playing teams that they're better than, right? Which has not always been the case, right? But when we go in as the favourites, we tend to win. First 2 group games yesterday, for example, we struggle against teams that are better than us, right? And so I think we may struggle against Croatia. Obviously, we're going through because it's coming home, but we may struggle.
Is it coming home? It's coming home.
I think it's coming home.
All right, we're out of time though anyway. Thank you. I'm going to cut you off there. Let us know if it's coming home by commenting in the comments. Just "it's coming home" in caps lock. That would help. Or whatever you think about England's chances against Croatia. If you have a slightly more nuanced view than that, we'd like to hear that as well. So let us know either way.